welcome you to this session of our webinar series, Story Magic, Strategy to Cultivate Your Little One's Literacy Skills. I'm really excited for you to hear from Vidra today. She knows what she's talking about and is very professional and has vast experience with little ones in a lot of different ways. So this is a treat for all of us to get to sit and learn from her. So without any further ado, Vidra, take it away.
Thank you. So hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Vidra Francis, and welcome to Story Magic, Strategies to Cultivate Your Little One's Literacy Skills. Again, my name is Dr. V, and I'm the Clinic Director at MetroEHS Bloomfield Hills. I received my master's of speech language pathology at Northwestern University, followed by my doctorate at Rocky Mountain University in Utah. And I'm a multi-state licensed dedicated speech pathologist with a passion for cultural competence and cultural and linguistic diversity. And I like to focus on fostering open and respectful cultural conversations in the field of speech language pathology. I have 21 plus years of experience, and I've worked in a variety of settings, including acute care, inpatient and outpatient rehab, private practice, early intervention in schools, and now I'm here at MetroEHS and enjoying it. I specialize in culturally responsive pediatric assessments and treatment, and I work closely with kiddos and their families to facilitate effective functional communication skill development and implementation of those skills and carryover at home, at school, and just everyday life activities. My research in early childhood language will be recognized at the American Speech Language Hearing Association Convention in December in Seattle. So I'm very excited about that. And my experience in early childhood language and pediatric speech therapy is only enhanced by my passion for literacy. So I hope that I'm able to share that with you today. So let's get started. What is literacy? Literacy refers to a person's ability to read and write. So reading and writing are closely related to listening and speaking and fall under the scope of speech therapy. We start to learn language very early in life as babies. So we learn how to say words and put them together we learn how to say sounds and put them together to make words. And these early speech and language skills help us learn to read and write. That's why children with speech and language problems are also at risk for challenges with reading and writing. But reading and writing can be complex. Reading and writing are complex because they add another layer to listening and speaking. So reading and writing are considered to have a reciprocal relationship, and that means they mutually reinforce each other. So reading provides the knowledge and language skills needed for writing, while writing helps solidify understanding and improve comprehension gained from reading, making them both essential components of literacy development. So there are some key points about the connection between reading and writing. So both reading and writing rely on similar cognitive abilities like vocabulary, grammar, and syntax or sentences, allowing one to support the development of the other, so they're shared skills. Reading acts as the input where information is absorbed, while writing serves as the output to express and solidify the knowledge. So there's the input and the output. Writing about what you read can deepen your understanding and critical analysis of the text, so that improves comprehension. By reading diverse texts, writers gain exposure to different writing styles, vocabulary, and structures that can enrich their own writing. So that gives more exposure, that's more exposure to language. Both reading and writing require active engagement with the text, encouraging critical thinking and analysis. So that's part of active learning. And then spelling is also a crucial part of literacy development and has a significant impact on reading and writing. So why is spelling important and how does it relate to literacy? Spelling helps children understand language. So, learning to spell helps children understand new words or how words are formed and the patterns in language. This helps them understand that the English language follows rules, which can make it easier for them to read and write. Spelling helps children develop skills like phonics, orthography, morphology, or words and vocabulary. So it helps with those developing those phonics and vocabulary skills. Spelling and reading rely on the same mental representation of a word. So knowing how to spell a word makes it easier to read fluently. Spelling, instruction can help children retain sight words, which can improve their writing skills. Also, spelling helps children avoid writing avoidance. So, poor spelling can cause children to avoid writing altogether, which can hinder their writing development. But spelling can also be confusing. So, English spelling is inconsistent for a number of reasons, including historical influences. So, English spelling is a result of many language influences from different periods of history and different people, different languages and different countries. And we have loan words. So, a loan word is a word that's brought into a language and then adjusted or adapted to fit the grammar, pronunciation, and spelling of the borrowing language. So, for example, we use the word cafeteria, which is originally a Spanish word that means coffee store, but relatively recent loan words often retain their original spelling, which may not be phonetic in English. There was the invention of the printing press. And so the invention of the printing press solidified the spelling of many words because then it was in print. So while the pronunciation continued to change, now we have that printed structure. Our alphabet size is a key component because the English alphabet, as we know, has 26 letters, but there's 44 speech sounds. So making it impossible to represent all the sounds with one symbol. There's a lack of authority. So there was no language academy or authority to oversee the written form of the language as it was developing. But English spelling is also confusing because it doesn't necessarily follow its own rules much of the time. So, for example, I know you probably already know some of these spelling rules, but do you know all of the exceptions? So we have use I before E except after C, or when sounded as A, as in neighbor or way. The next one, drop the final E before a suffix beginning with a vowel, A, E, I, O, U, but not before a suffix beginning with a consonant. Next, change the final Y to I before a suffix unless the suffix begins with I. Finally, double a final single consonant before a suffix beginning with a vowel when both of these conditions exist. A single vowel precedes the consonant. B, the consonant ends an accented syllable or a one-syllable word. What? And these rules are only a few reasons why spelling can be confusing, making it challenging for people who struggle with reading and writing to have a roadmap to success. So then why is literacy important, and why is it important to have literacy skills? Early literacy skills lay a very important foundation for success in school. Children transition from learning to read to reading to learn in the early grades of elementary school. So, struggles with reading and writing can impact future learning in all subjects as children progress through school. So, let's talk a little bit more about literacy itself. There are 13 different types of literacy. Here I have highlighted the types of literacy that are most relevant to the literacy learning that we're discussing today. So we have early literacy, developmental literacy, digital literacy, media literacy, recreational literacy, and functional literacy. And I'd like to give a brief review of these literacy types. So, early literacy is what a child knows about communication, reading and writing before they learn to read and write. So, for example, phonological awareness, or the ability to recognize and understand the sounds and parts of words. This is a vital part of early literacy, and children who don't have accurate phonological awareness may have a harder time learning to read and write. Letter knowledge, it's the knowledge that letters have names, can look different, and are associated with words and sounds, excuse me. Vocabulary, the development of vocabulary helps children understand language and words. Vocabulary development begins in infancy when babies hear adults speak in different tones and languages. Print awareness, the understanding that print has different functions depending on the context. For example, a menu lists food, a book tells a story, and a sign can warn of danger. Early writing, a foundational literacy skill that involves developing an understanding of print and sound. Narrative skills. Early narrative skills, such as increased vocabulary, are associated with literacy skills like using clues and knowledge, understanding the subject, and writing skills. Reading comprehension, it's an important skill for early readers to learn. Engaging and interactive experiences can help encourage development. Finally, reading, an important part of early literacy development that helps children learn new things. Children who learn to read at an early age tend to have a wider vocabulary and greater general knowledge. Let's talk now a little bit about developmental literacy, which is a form of literacy instruction that takes a child's stage of development in consideration. So, in essence, it provides developmentally appropriate literacy instruction. So, for example, developmental literacy may include, again, phonological awareness, but at different stages, this may involve being able to rhyme, find words with the same sound, and understand that words are made up of smaller sounds and that sentences are made up of words. We have oral language, which is a child's ability to express themselves and understand what others are saying. Oral language is important for many aspects of child development, including literacy, social relationships, and emotional regulation. Alphabet knowledge, that's a key component of early literacy, and it's usually the primary focus of preschool instruction and education. And then we have independent speech, encouraging children to express themselves freely and providing time for them to articulate their thoughts can help with language development. Digital literacy. So, by the definition you see, encompasses a wide range of skills, all of which are necessary to succeed in an increasingly digital world. As print medium begins to die out, the ability to comprehend information found online becomes more and more important. So, for example, being able to use social media and navigate YouTube. I see a lot of kiddos that are better at navigating YouTube than I am. They help me on the computer. We have media literacy. So, according to the National Association for Media Literacy Education, media literacy is the ability to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and act using all forms of communication. Media literacy means anything from interpreting emojis to understanding underlying messages in online advertisements to producing viral video content and then recognizing advertising. And finally, we have recreational literacy, which is independent activities that cultivate positive attitudes, interests, and literacy habits. So, for example, leisure reading of fiction and nonfiction books, comic books or graphic books, magazines, picture books, ebooks, social media, websites, blogs, and newspapers. And then finally, we have functional literacy, which is the literacy skills required to navigate society successfully. So, for example, anything that helps you complete daily tasks, such as reading labels on clothes, food, or medicine, planning monthly expenses, reading maps or following your GPS, or comparing prices. I added some of these pictures, for example, the restroom sign, because you may not be able to read the word restroom, but you do recognize the symbols that you're at a restroom. And then I added the McDonald's sign because kiddos may not be able to read the word McDonald's, but they know the golden arches. They know that means McDonald's, and they know that means that's where they want to get their nuggets. But what if your kiddo is having difficulty in any of these areas? Literacy therapy can help children improve their literacy skills by teaching alternative strategies for using and understanding written language. Therapy can also target speech, language, and phonological awareness skills. So, who benefits from literacy therapy? Your child may benefit from literacy therapy if they have difficulty learning letters, sounding out words, understanding what they've read, forming letters correctly, reading with age appropriate speed and smoothness, communicating thoughts and ideas through speech and writing. If they have difficulty with phonemic awareness, again, that's recognizing and working with individual sounds, or if they have difficulty with speech and language. So, what's our approach to literacy intervention? MetroEHS uses multisensory techniques to teach our superheroes how to identify letters, match them with sounds, and then blend those sounds into words and beyond. So, the goal of multisensory approaches is to reinforce connections between what readers see, hear, feel, and how they move by engaging all of their senses when they're learning to read and write. Multisensory strategies are time tested, they're backed by research, and they're family approved for building confidence and success in reading and writing. So now I'd actually like to do a little interactive portion where I'll take you through a script of what we use here in the clinic. So we use a program called Lively Letters. On the screen, you'll see a picture of a P in a circle. And this is how we might teach what we call the quiet lip puffing sound, or P. What are we doing with our mouths when we make this sound? P. Can you make that sound? P. You're right. We're using our lips. We put them together. Put your hand in front of your mouth when you make that sound. Do you feel air coming out? Does it come out slowly, or is it puffing out? Right, it's puffing out. We could call this a lip puffing sound. Hold your fingers up to your closed lips and then move them away quickly while you puff out the air. Let's do a test to see if our voices are on or off when we make that sound. Puh. Is your voice on like this? Ah. Or is it off? Say, puh. Oh, it's off. This must be the quiet lip puffing sound. So now we'll look at the picture. The first thing we see in this letter is the line with the lips. So those are the red lips on the side, telling us to put our lips together. The circle is at the top of the line, reminding us of the tall mother who's always very quiet so her baby can sleep. Let's keep our voices off and make that sound. Puh. So that's an example of how we might teach the quiet lip puffing sound, or puh, during literacy training. So now that we've gone over some literacy basics, let's talk about some things you may be able to do to help with your child's literacy skills at home. So first, using literacy materials throughout your day and home. So these materials can include menus, traffic signs, maps, envelopes and mail, recipes, and labels. So when you get your mail and you're looking at the envelope, you see letters, you see numbers, there's a stamp with a picture. All of those things promote literacy. When you go out to eat and you look at the menu, For example, in this clip art, you see a picture of a hamburger. You'll see the word hamburger, the description of the hamburger, where you can connect that description to the picture. All of those promote literacy. Read aloud with reference to print. So, for example, running your finger under the words as you read, counting the words, pointing out print within pictures. Again, that McDonald's sign. There's McDonald's is printed at the bottom of the golden arches. Other strategies include using a ruler to place under a sentence to keep vision on track, using color coding to highlight vowels in words to give kiddos a sense of how many syllables there are in a word, or using something to space between words. The next strategy, interactive read aloud with a focus on understanding and vocabulary. So to discuss the material as you read it. Use child-friendly explanations of the words within the text. Use the words or vocabulary again later in the day or over time to help reinforce it. Teach words related to the topic. So for example, if you read a book about gardening, teach additional words like dirt, flowers, vegetables, insects. When you go outside and you see the grass, ask your kiddo, hey, where do you think would be a nice spot for a garden? Do you think we'll see any insects? We'll have to dig up the dirt. What vegetables should we plant? So reinforcing those target words again. The next one is play with sounds inside words. So I'm going to ask for forgiveness in advance. I'm going to do a little singing, but the perfect example of this is the apples and bananas song. So I like to eat apples and bananas. And then, it goes through the different vowels and look to oat, opals and bananas. So that's a perfect example of playing with sounds inside the words. You're using the exact same words. You're just switching the sounds around a little bit. You can read books that have rhyming or read tongue twisters. I couldn't even say tongue twisters. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. You get that alliteration. You're really focusing on that targeted sound. These all help with phonemic awareness or focusing on those sounds. Instruction on letter names, sounds, and shapes. So items that can help with this instruction can include an alphabet chart or alphabet books with age-appropriate keywords. I had a slide earlier that had an A with an alligator, a B with a bear, a C with a cat. Using those pictures to help with the sounds and connecting that sound in the picture with the letter, all part of literacy skills. Writing interactions. Have your kiddos practice writing a message. Depending on the age of your kiddo, it may be a scribble, random letter strings, a few letters within the word, or maybe your kiddo try to sound out the word to write it. All of that is perfect. Then go over the message with your kiddo. Have them read the message to you and then reread the message back to them, pointing out recognizable sounds and shapes, maybe a couple of letters put together. And again, that's part of that developmental literacy that we talked about. Ongoing observation of your child's language and literacy skills. So when you're observing your kiddo's language and literacy skills, look at it in different contexts. How are they doing at home? School, daycare, during play? How are they with their interactions with other kids? What type of activities are they interested in? Do they enjoy reading books or story time? Collaborate with your child's teacher in promoting your child's literacy. So, how is your child working on their literacy at school? Are there books the classroom uses that you might be able to carry over at home? Are there different apps that support literacy development? Their teacher may be able to tell you about local events that may be a fun literacy and language learning experience. Also, local libraries always have story times that promote literacy. Having lots of reading material available. So reading material can include books, anything with text, and remember that can be both print or digital, informational books, poetry, storybooks, Books related to your kiddo's interests. It may be dinosaurs or Bluey or Peppa Pig. Books related to your kiddo's culture or background. Also, try to create a comfortable place or space for your kiddo to enjoy their books. So, they get excited about story time because that's when they get to sit in that big, comfy beanbag chair, or maybe that's the time they get to sit or lay on mommy or daddy's bed when they know it's story time. Have extended conversation. Respond to and initiate conversations with your kiddos. Try to take turns going back and forth on the same topic. So, the best way to do that is to use open ended questions. So, for example, don't say or try not to say, "Did you like that book?" Kiddo can say, "Yes," "No," and then that's the end of the conversation. Use an open-ended question like, "What did you like about that book?" And then that extends the conversation so you can get that opportunity to go back and forth. Talk about past and future events. So we had fun at the park yesterday. What are we going to do tomorrow? And then that's kind of bridging that vocabulary. So you have that implication of, we had fun yesterday. What are we going to do to have fun tomorrow? Also, extend your kiddo's language. So if your kiddo says fuzzy, you can say, "Yes, that peach is fuzzy. What else can you tell me about that peach? What does it taste like? What color is it?" So that gives you a chance to have extended conversation as well. So where do we go with all of this information? You take it and you use it everywhere. So you can incorporate these strategies into everyday activities such as cooking, communicating with family and friends, traveling on the bus or in the car, wherever you see text or print. You can promote early literacy skills such as book handling and vocabulary. You have your book. Explain, this is the cover of the book. These are the pages. This is the table of contents. This is the page number. Allow your kiddo to turn the pages. Point out words and pictures. And you can do all of this even before your kiddo learns to read. And of course, reading to your child is extremely beneficial. And if you notice that your kiddo is having difficulty with their literacy skills, please reach out to help. Please reach out for help. It will either help them in school or in becoming school ready. So I wanted to thank everyone so much for attending this webinar today. I hope it was helpful. So go and get a book, read to your kiddo.
Right, reading is so important. That was something in our family that we made just a regular routine. Sit down every night and try to read to our kids. It does help. So thank you so much, Phaedra. What I should have done is turn on everybody's camera and make sure everybody was doing this. I couldn't help myself. I was sitting here doing that. And I also remembered, I don't know, you're a little bit younger than I am, I think, but do you remember the letter magnets on fridges?
Yes.
I don't know.
Those are very helpful. And we actually have those in every clinic here too.
Okay, well,
letter magnets, yes.
The stuff that works kind of sticks around. We'll open it up for a couple minutes. If anybody has any questions, you can unmute yourself and share and ask anything. Otherwise, know that we're going to send this recorded webinar out to all of your emails so you can have that to share with your friends. You can find our other webinars up on YouTube, on the Metro YouTube. So does anybody have any questions for Phaedra before we say goodbye this afternoon? I'm not seeing any come through. Okay, well, that's fine. We are here if you need us here at Metro. We offer wonderful therapy.
I have a question. So my son is in speech therapy right now in the West Bloomfield location.
Okay.
And I believe they're working on, his primary issue is the literacy, the understanding, the auditory learning, like hearing things and understanding and comprehension. So
Okay.
Is that, like, when you say literary therapy, is that included in speech therapy or is that something totally different?
Good question.
Literacy therapy can be included in speech therapy if during the evaluation, parent recognizes that kiddo is having difficulty in that area. then we can assess at that time. Sometimes you don't know until after you start therapy and you're like, oh, I see kiddos having a little bit of trouble recognizing those sounds or putting the sounds together or understanding those questions or reading comprehension. And at that time, we can create goals for that to work on that while the child is in speech therapy. Did that answer your question?
Yes. So I need to probably take a look at his paper to see if it's included. But if not, I can talk to his speech therapist to see what she thinks. Yeah.
Yes,
Thank you.
I would talk to a speech therapist, let them know that you've noticed he's having difficulties in these areas, and see if they have if they're already working on it within a goal, or if they need to add a goal.
Okay.
Good
That's
question.
a great question.
Mhm.
All right, any other questions? Okay, well, next month for our webinar series, we're going to have a special collaborative moment with all sorts of different therapists from MetroEHS, physical therapists, speech therapists, ABA, occupational therapists, and we're going to talk about collaboration. Collaboration is one of the big, important primary goals of Metro is what I would say. We really try to work together, and this benefits kids in a very holistic way because they don't just get one therapist in a silo and then travel across town to another therapist. We all kind of work together and visit with each other about what the best strategy is for the kid. We use the same language for all of our superheroes so that parents kind of have a general well understanding of what's going on at Metro. And we really feel like this is the best treatment for children who need several therapies at once. And sometimes you don't. Sometimes you come to Metro and you have a sports injury with your kiddo and you get through physical therapy, and that's fine too. But just know that when you come to Metro, you have access to all sorts of different therapies. And it's very similar to what Vidra talked about today. We have speech therapy, but sometimes those speech therapists, they're so experienced, they can see, you know what, I think this might be turning into a literacy issue, and maybe we can talk about some other things in our therapy. So Metro really brings in some fantastic folks to help your kids. Join us next month for this collaboration conversation. We think it'll be really great, and it'll really give you insight into how Metro works and why it helps little superheroes who come to us. We thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any questions about literacy therapy or any other needs, please don't hesitate to reach out at info@metroehs.com, or you can email us at the webinar email at webinars@metroehs.com. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, Vidra, again for a fantastic presentation.
Thanks.
Don't forget. Have a great day, everybody. We'll talk later.